Hello my lovelies and welcome to the NPC Reviews. It's a funny thing when you drop into the middle of a story and you don't know what's going on. You know, who's doing what and why, who's eyeing who and why. I have made no secret of this. Then you find out it's by design and you're confused. Well, today we're going to cut through the
wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff
and get to the subjective linear reality of Parn and Company with the record of Lodoss War II, Blazing Departure. Skipping the condensed lore primer about the gods, their war, their deaths, and the formation of Lodoss, our story actually begins with a pretty land in a temple where Ghim, our resonant old man, is making his intentions known.
You're really going?
I am. And I'm coming back with her.
Is it still possible? It's been such a long time.
Niece! You're not just a priestess, you're a mother. And no parent should ever give up hope.
Ghim.
Don't worry. I may be older now, but I'm still good enough to bring home a prodigal daughter or two.
Wayward children of the world beware, he's Ghim, truant officer. After that, we cut to some peepery, now in infravision, followed by the young woman getting chased by goblins. From here we start seeing some of the animation shortcuts, more on that later. Luckily, Parn's on hand to help the young woman. She runs as Parn stays to fend them off. He quickly learns the benefits of armor and not bringing a stick to a sword fight, however. But with some acrobatics and a certain disarming quality, he manages to make a go of it and slays one of the goblins, causing the others to flee. Then a friend appears.
But I always thought goblins were night creatures. Ato! Isn't it strange? After all this time, now you're taking care of me.
As a novitiate of Phallus, I've gained the power to heal. Let's see if I can help. Oh, great Phallus, bring your healing forces to these wounds.
Not bad for a dead god. So that which is dead can eternal lie? Then the village Dark arrives with friends and rants about how you should scare goblins off, not kill them. But then he starts making it personal.
He's just like his father, always going against the village's decisions without a care in the world.
Watch it!
Admit it, your father broke the kingdom's laws and was cast out from the Holy Order of Knights. Admit it, like father, like son.
Before a fight breaks out, the Mayor Mustachio intervenes, thanking Parn. It was his daughter Parn saved after all, even if he was the one who gave the no-kill order, just like politicians in their special treatment. Anyway, Parn volunteers to do something, much to the villagers' displeasure, and the mayor calls for a village meeting and no rash actions. He has no genre awareness, I take it. Meanwhile, back at the lair, they fought back. They can do that? My entire worldview is shaken. A well-dressed solicitor uses the power of pantomime to rile the goblins up.
For dry, red eyes, clear eyes is awesome.
And after that, we cut back to Ghim.
Have you got a cup of that for me?
No, I won't say anything. We get this.
Niece said it herself. Something seems to darken the spirit of all Lodoss.
And then we get Ghim asking Slain to help him on his quest, to which he says,
I'm a sorcerer, not a warrior.
After some old man banter trying to change his mind, the mayor shows up asking for advice. Can't a guy hermit in peace anymore? This is followed by Deedlit out and about elving it up when she comes across the goblins on the march.
Goblins? Out in broad daylight?
Some early afternoon brooding goes down.
Your father was a holy knight of Phallus?
Worthy knights don't die in disgrace like he did.
Why does he even stay in this village? Anyway, Parn digs out his father's armor and flashes back to yesteryear, watching his father ready himself and getting some love as well. Then he left, never to be seen again. At least it wasn't a cigarette run. Still no sign of a mother in all this, but I guess she's not important. Moving on, he takes his father's sword and resolves to deal with the goblins when we get Ato.
Need a partner? Huh? What? Shall we be off then, Sir Knight?
You know, if the show keeps doing these emotion-filled door scenes, I'm gonna break out Careless Whisper, and don't think I won't. After that, Ato convinces Parn to accept his company and they go to the lair. After they soak up the XP of the guards, they unfortunately realize their goblins are not to be found. And Deedlit finally plays a part in the plot.
Try the village!
Deedlit keeps it mysterious for now. And they are off to the village where breaking and entering and murder is happening. With the Hobgoblin Man looking very pleased with himself. Things look bad for the villagers, but luckily for them, Ghim brought his axe of returning, and then Slain gets to stretch his magical might.
You whose spirits are controlled by evil, set free your hearts and answer me.
I like collecting flowers. I secretly read elven poetry. I think the Goblin-Hobgoblin power system weakens the goblinoid people as a whole. TMI. And now we know Slain is at least 5th level. Hopefully he doesn't end up carrying the party. Anywho, Liara, the mayor's daughter, is in trouble again, and again Parn comes to the rescue. He makes an appeal to the Hobgoblin as the one who killed the goblin. The Hobgoblin doesn't care, and despite nervousness on Parn's part, the character building fight is on. Parn's having a tough time of it, but luckily Liara went to get help. Slain and Ghim arrive as Parn is getting the old slice and dice. Don't you just hate when the low challenge rating foes have class levels? Slain is all like,
He's an undisciplined young boy, but there's potential.
And as Parn is about to meet the gods, Slain casts a really souped up True Strike, and the Hobgoblin and his co-opted forces are defeated. But most of the villagers aren't happy, still wanting to blame Parn. Again, why does he live here? Still, the mayor has read the signs.
Although we can't explain it, some dark evil is awakening across Lodoss.
And in a politically savvy move, he charges Parn with going out and investigating the situation. Then, decked in his father's armor, which luckily fits him, he then soulfully sets his house on fire. I understand showing your resolve and not wanting to be held back, but I think that might be a bit much. Or maybe he doesn't want to have to deal with squatters when he gets back, I don't know. After that, Parn makes his way through the morning fog, only to be joined by Ato, along with Ghim and Slain, and mysteriously up above Deedlit follows along. Not knowing what darkness lies ahead, and most of the party roles filled, they set off. All they need now is a thief. Adaptation is always a tricky business, even if the original source material is expected to or is hoping to get an adaptation later. And I think that is what happened here with them starting at a point further along in the story, and then jumping back to the start of the story. Essentially, watching a session of an RPG is rarely fun as playing yourself. The beginning of a show and the beginning of a campaign or adventure have different structures. For an adventure, it is all from the perspective of the players. They don't get a lot of the details about the antagonists or opposition, but what they do find out, they find out themselves and thus are more engaged. A spectator essentially only gets half the story without the benefit of getting that half themselves. So rather than working some of the later material or background material to fill in the edges for the viewers, they jumped around in time and space to make sure the viewers were interested. I guess you could say this is a time when sticking too closely to the source material is a hindrance. Now you might be saying, actual plays are good though. The thing you have to keep in mind there is that the popular or successful ones have professional or experienced performers as the players who know how to command attention, and they frequently make use of non-player perspectives for story details, like the secret meeting between a player's group's potential ally and their hated enemy, or even just the heroes have saved the day and walked off, but unknown to them, a claw reaches out to claim the remnants of the MacGuffin that was destroyed. Regarding the animation, there's a post-episode dip. They did start making use of common animation shortcuts, emphasize still frames and moving the character models separate from the animation, etc. But it doesn't hinder the story and everything still flows well. And let's be honest, those kinds of shortcuts are still used today, so I feel it would be disingenuous to fault Record of Lodoss War for the use of them, so long as it doesn't become a crutch. As for the story itself, despite the adaptational flub as mentioned, everything comes together well. We have clear motivations for why everyone was set out on an adventure. Responsibility, friendship, honor, and also curiosity. How these motivations persist or change will be interesting to see. It's a solid foundation for why a group of heroes would set out on an adventure, tried and true and still serviceable. The segments of mostly non-verbal storytelling was also well done in my estimation. As for the greater mystery, it's suitably engaging. You have the external conflict with the goblins, which is fun, but around that you have hints that things are not as they should be. The goblins are acting out of character, strange weather persists, and then it's all tied together by the newcomer to the area, a hobgoblin, who roused the goblins up. And not only that, he's dressed in a uniform, telling us he's part of a larger force lurking elsewhere. There's enough clues to tell the average adventurer, maybe we should go investigate this. And as such, I want to see where the story goes. At this point, the timey-wimey has sorted itself out and we have a firm start and direction to go. I would say that Record of Lodoss War is worth continuing to watch and seeing what adventures awaits. Also, I must admit that, watching and trying to figure out what each character is and what level they might be at is kind of fun. Yes, so until next time, fare thee well, my lovelies.